it has feminism, big-time feminism in it, and I, even though I understand how feminism has been used, I always thought I was one, So there's, it's like one guy said on a forum somewhere about my work, it looks like I'm against everything. It was hard for him to find what I was for.
Right.
Because I'm against everything. Well, for a long time, I didn't know how big it was, or that everything that I started reading, the peace movement, communitarian, it's like, is there anything out there that doesn't have it in it? Well, now I can't find anything. Now my goal is kind of to find anything that hasn't been influenced by communitarian thinking.
Well, isn't it, in a way, with that idea in mind, that why should we even be for something or willing to join something or sign up to an ology or an ism, right? This is all about, this is my life. I'm here for, whatever reason, through evolution or the creator or what have you. And this is, my life, and I'm going to live it the way I want to do. But, why should we sign up to anything else, what anyone else is trying to tell us to do or get us to go along with anything? And it's really, it doesn't matter what we're for, like individuals at least. It's more about what you say here. And I would agree with that, I would only try to, scope out what I'm not interested in, basically,
Right. And I think what's the most brilliant part of the dialectic is that the more fervent your belief in something, the better a tool you are for them.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. And let's backtrack a little bit and talk about, you mentioned, for instance, there the Anti-Communitarian League Manifesto. Is it short? Is it very long? Tell us about it. What is it?
Well, the part one is what is the Hegelian dialectic, and it's a tutorial that we wrote. Started writing it for my father, who was having a hard time following the articles I was writing in 2000, and I really wanted him to help me and read my stuff and try and, help me in Seattle, actually, when I was actually fighting the community government there in person, at their meetings, at their offices, at their hearing and reviews, I was heavily involved in lawsuits, did a lot of research for that. So I thought he would help me. So he couldn't understand why it was going on. That was the main thing that people kept saying to me in the beginning was, why would they want to do this? This is so ridiculous. Why do they want to do it? And I didn't know why. So when I started finding stuff referring to Hegel and understanding thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and writing that, well then, anyone who hasn't taken a class in philosophy is not going to understand that at all. It makes no sense to them. So we went and wrote the tutorial, and we put it online when we challenged the Communitarian Network and the American Sociological Association in 2002 to dispute our thesis, and we included that. That was part of what I wrote to Estioni and published it online, and then thousands of people went to it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of went, oh, no. So we rewrote it. I got a tutor. Professor Crawley, University of Wyoming, was one of the few. In fact, he was the only professor that wrote back. I wrote the heads of every political science department that I knew of. I wrote my mentor at UMass Amherst, Howard Ziff, Professor Howard Ziff, a lot of people that I had years ago been in contact with, trying to find someone to read what I was writing and help me, Mm-hmm. I did a lot of begging in those days. So I did get some good help on, the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning and the periods of thinking and how it evolved within the academic community. But part two, the historical evolution of communitarian thinking, was my direct rebuttal to Etzioni for his claims that communitarianism just popped in his head at lunch one day with Robert Galston, as opposed to a very methodical philosophy that's been implemented through all the sciences, including political science, mm-hmm. and every other one, to the present day, where now all the scientists that have good jobs, okay, not all scientists agree, but the ones that are paid by them totally, repeat the party line. So it's been a training at the highest levels, and then these are the teachers,
Right.
And they're facilitators. There's a couple colleges I've identified, particularly in England, connected to the Fabian Society, and they've spread out all over the world, and there's others too, But
would you say the Fabians are a big part of this?
oh yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yes. Amitai Etzioni was trained in Fabian ideology.
Right.
He admits that. In fact, the first time I heard the term Fabian was when I was reading one of his biographical articles, and he said his Fabian beliefs had led him to believe in peace.
Okay, well there we go. And for those who don't know at all about the Fabians, give us just a brief overview of these guys.
It was founded by Beatrice and Sidney Webb in London in the 1800s, like 1884 or somewhere around in there, to promote international Marxism, global government via propaganda and lies, as opposed to overt violent revolution. And their plan was to infiltrate governments and introduce their ideology slowly. Which is what they've been doing for 100 years, yeah.
Yes, then I think the name Fabian comes from that, a famous battle between Fabian and one of the emperors, I think, of the Roman Empire. Correct me if I'm wrong there, I don't know, but he was known for his patience, was he not?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so these are patient people. They're slowly going to incrementally bring this in. And, okay, so we have a difference here, in regards to, or they have rather than you and them have a difference in how to bring this about, how to manage, I guess we can say, rather, a society overall. I mean, one thing that comes to mind here, of course, is that do you think that it could be that these people sincerely believe that this is the only sound and workable solution, so to speak, in regards to how to manage and administrate a society overall? And that they're actually thinking of their own mindset, that they're doing something really great. Would you say that is the main ideology here, or this is what they think they're doing?
Well, I think that there's different levels in their hierarchy. At the top, I'm sure they're laughing. At the higher levels, but yet not the very high reaches, I think that they're more moral. Everything they say they do is because they're more moral, and that they care more about the world. So everything they write leads me to think that they are convinced of their superior breeding, that their elitist backgrounds give them a moral, it's a manifest destiny for them.
Mm-hmm.
That they have to do this. So have they convinced themselves at almost every level that they're doing the right thing? Yes, they have. I've had a lot of people approach me through the communitarians, that obviously believe in that, and have tried to convince me that I'm a communitarian, or that it really is the only way to save the world.
You're right, yeah.
So yes, I think they do. And I think at the lower levels, the general population that supports their measures, they want to do something good. I think that's what makes it so evil.
Well, I see what you mean.
People who really care and really want to do something good are sucked right into something really, really bad.
Right, and they're working. They also bring in the energy, so to speak, of the positive attitude, like, yeah, let's do something, let's change things, and they got all this energy to go to work for these other guys who actually might not have the best interest at heart for us, so to speak, correct?
Yes. It's like some of the best people that I've met in the last 10 years have to be the London anarchist group that I met during WTO.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were definitely the most literate. They had the best arguments on the street. Of course, nobody published them except for, you just got to see them in flyers. But it was really, really sad, because at the time I was working in property rights, and they were in Seattle destroying property and, saying things like to crush all the nations, we are the anarchist generation and stuff. And I didn't really get what they were talking about. I just liked them as people. They were very energetic, dedicated to their cause, dumpster divers, the whole bit. And they were helping. They're helping the WTO.
Yeah, of course.
and I think I'm actually glad that I didn't know that at the time, because people used to laugh at me and my work because I was so small town, All I was working on was my neighborhood plan. And at the time, I didn't know it was a UN Local Agenda 21 neighborhood plan, and I didn't know anything about the global government. I'd never heard the terms sustainable development, community development, community policing, nothing. I didn't know any of that. So most of what I did in the beginning was just read and listen and ask for definitions.
Yes.
And, look where it led.
And, let's talk about this thing of what, if we can get to the root of this in a way of what specifically it is in the ideology that you are against in that sense. I mean, in regards to they're trying to manage society in their way. We can say that they're trying to change it. And in one regard, I personally myself have always kind of had this philosophy when looking at society at large that it's their system in a way. They set it up. I wasn't part of it in that sense, or even even if I look back in the family record or what have you. I mean, I know that my family hasn't been involved in building these communities or even building the cities in a way. We're more like occupants within it. We're living in their system. So my philosophy has always kind of been to, in a way, they can actually do whatever it is that they're doing. The option I have is to actually opt out of their controlled society altogether and try to find some other way to live my life. Do you think that that's like an option here, or what specifically is it that you're against that they're doing at this point in time?
What I'm specifically against is that they're in the United States, okay, because I can only speak for what's happening here.
Yeah.
I know that I was born into their lie. I was born in 1956, and I've been living under their laws and their lie ever since, it was here before I was born. So the fact that I was trained to be on the right by my family. My dad was career military. I grew up a flag-waving patriot,
Mm.
Then I go to college, and my dad says I become a socialist because suddenly I'm introduced to all kinds of left ideas that actually made sense to me, okay? I followed Nicaragua closely. I wrote a video documentary on economic policy in Central America in '84 under the Reagan administration, I was following Ollie North and the Iran arms for drugs scandals later, and, so my sympathies were always with the socialists on the uprising side, Nicaragua, even Cuba after a while. I started quoting Castro,
Right.
So my dad freaked out, okay, and I did too, because it was like the total opposite. And then suddenly America were the bad guys, the CIA, mining the harbors in Nicaragua. What the heck is going on? Publishing books on how to assassinate public officials. I was shocked, okay? I was shocked at what the American government was supporting and what they were doing. I thought we supported genuine people's revolutions. I didn't understand that any of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a rude awakening. So when I finally realized, though, that what was happening was that I was supposed to choose either the right or the left. There wasn't supposed to be any middle until they introduced it as the solution.
Mm.
And what I did was find out about the middle before I was supposed to really know what it was.
Right.
Okay, so that's where I've been for 10 years, writing about this, going, this is what they're already doing. They were already balancing the laws. It's not something they're trying to do, Henrik.
Sure.
They've done it.
Absolutely. And it is a little bit what I said there, that they've been doing it from day one because society is built on these same principles, are they not?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
In fact,